Shana Tova. Happy New Year, yes. Shana Tova, so it's sundown today, we begin Rosh Hashanah, and what a wonderful time to start to think about vision. Because in our human minds, we always want to set a milestone. I'll think about it, oh yeah, New Year. Oh yeah, my birthday, whatever. Happy New Year. So I'm here as a part of this dream kaleidoscope to talk about vision. So here I go. And one of the things I want to share is that when I speak about vision in my little human brain, we're talking about intention. We're talking about dreaming. We're talking about what is it that we are doing as individuals, as a community, as a world with this time in which we have this human form. And it's so precious. One of the things that is so remarkable is when you get the time to just be in the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes talks about it all the time. He talks about this connection, this spirit that lives inside of all of us. That thing that we own, though, is our unique expression of it. We heard it in so many ways. We heard it in the speak. In the reading, we heard it in the song, we heard it in the prayer, and my gosh, we heard it in the wonderful gift that this community has been given. This unique expression of who IO is, who Oneness is, who the United States is, who the Mother Earth is. That is what we own. And so that source that breathes us says yes to whatever it is we want. So I want to talk a little bit about what I know least about, and that's what I want. Sounds funny, but somewhere along in those 8 to 10 to what felt like 1 billion years of training to get to this wonderful and precious spark, I learned that I know the least about what I want. And how do I know that to be true? Because I find myself in these idiotic situations where I have to say, how did this happen? So my personal vision is to recognize each and every individual story. We are individual ministries. I am the IO ministry. You are your ministry. Oneness is a ministry. So I want to talk to you about a ministry that I recognized. Who knows what these are? It is the Squeegee Kid Ministry. For those of you who may not be aware, there's a group of individuals and closest to us in Baltimore City, and if you are a commuter coming in on one of those major arteries, they meet you when the light turns red, and then, you graciously offer them something in response. They're everywhere. And as a matter of fact, everywhere is not just Baltimore. They're in New York. They are in other cities in the United States. They're in Canada. They're in the UK. They're all over the world. But I'm going to speak about our local Baltimore Squeegee Kids because they taught me something precious that I thought I knew, but I didn't. So I travel into Baltimore, and whenever I travel in, I try to go the route that's going to have the least amount of traffic, which is the helicopter route. But anyway, I always manage to see them, and there's some streets where they're more active, and there are days my heart is wide open, and I can't wait. And I want to just say hi to them, and I'm looking for things, money, sometimes other little things I have in my car set aside. And I just always say to them, be safe. But then there are days when my heart is open, but I don't want anybody to touch my car. You see, I'm an extension of my car. Don't touch my car. Well, about a week ago, I pulled where you don't want to be. The first car, the only car at this stoplight, 3 lanes of traffic. Should have been there with me, but I was there alone. And here they come. And just to give a little context, generally speaking, they are African-American males from 10 to 18. And they come at you, but they've always come at me with a smile. And this particular morning, I said, with my windows up because I saw them. No, thank you. But they just stood there. And one of them said, I got you. I'm like, no, thank you. I don't need you to clean my windows. Another one said, please let me do this for you. And then somebody sprang. I'm like, oh, uh-oh, wait a second. What is my vision? Everybody has a story. I'm to be respectful, mindful, to know what's happening. These squeegee kids, in doing what they're doing for whatever the reason, sharing their ministry of, I got you, I just want to do this for you, made me stop and realize something wasn't calibrating. I was stiff here, my head was pounding, and I asked myself, what is going on? All the while, they're moving, they're smiling, they're doing stuff, which is making it escalate, which made me say, pause, Io. You're outside of your vision. What is happening? I didn't really come up with an answer, except that what was happening wasn't what I wanted, and that was enough. So in that moment, I opened up that little space in the heart that was still closed. And I just accepted from them. I accepted the smile, the pretty much cleaner windshield, and the fact that there was someone who didn't know me, didn't know my circumstances, but said, I got you. How often does that happen? So I said, you know, this is a ministry. They meet me, I can't speak for everybody, no matter what street I'm on, with a smile. And they got me. So what am I doing for them? Whatever I'm doing for them, I'm doing for me. So I cracked a smile, rolled down my window, and I said, thank you. And one of them said, do you have something for the house? And that really hit home because I didn't know what he meant. And I said, yes, I have something for the house. Here you are. Because really, they shifted my whole day. That's why I called a ministry. They spoke to me, and darn it, this time I listened. Now, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I know in that moment, I shifted. And the key to a ministry, a vision, self-mastery, is knowing that it just takes one step in that direction to make a huge impact on you, your neighbors, and the world. So each one of us every day, we are sending out ripples in the world. So as I ask myself, what is the ripple I'm sending out? I encourage you to ask yourself that same question. And be open to the answer and just love into that answer. Because there's no right or wrong answer. Just love into it. So I have a little ditty that I'd like everybody, if you would, to just repeat after me. I am one person and I shape the world.
I am one person and I shape the world.
I take one step at a time.
I take one step at a time.
I may not see that ripple, but I know it's there.
I may not see that ripple, but I know it's there.
I shape the world.
I shape the world.
So, what I want to say is, again, each one of us is uniquely expressing our vision into the world all the time. Let's just be clear about our vision and be open and welcoming to the change that we're bringing about. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Kathy Butler. So as we went through our training, a lot of the training and when we speak about the principles of science of mind, it's very focused on us and our personal vision and how do we affect that change in our own lives. But I became very fascinated with how do we do this in groups? So how might we take these principles into groups in our lives? So we talk in the science of mind about the intentional use of the creative process to create what we want to experience as individuals. So I pause today to consider what it might look like to use the creative process to create a vision for a group of people or for an organization. Could I, or you, with a group of people, invoke the creative process to create an organization that works for everyone in that organization? So Ernest Holmes says, the law is infinite and perfect, but in order to make a demonstration, we must have a mental equivalent of the thing we desire. A vision, perhaps? The mind is the fashioning factor, and according to its range, vision, and positiveness, will be the circumstance or experience. He goes on to say, it follows then that the range of our possibilities at the present time does not extend far beyond the range of our present concepts. As we bring ourselves to a greater vision, we induce a greater concept and thereby demonstrate more in our experience. In this way, there is a continuous growth and unfoldment taking place. Little by little, we can unfold that vision that we have for a group. As I consider this, I consider vision as seeing greatly, as seeing all that is possible, as believing all that is possible, and most importantly, feeling all that is possible. So what does it mean for a group of people to create and live a shared vision? To me, it means creating a space where every person, every individualized expression of God, can bring their gifts forward in contribution, in love, in acceptance, and in gratitude. A space where everyone has the potential and opportunity to contribute to the greater goal, to that shared goal. A place where each person engaged can see themselves, can feel the energy and the power of co-creation with God and co-creation with every other individual. The vision is to be a center of excellence, to be the place where people love to come, and where those who can't come say, I want that where I work. I want that where I play. I want that where I pray. I want that where I hang out. An environment that allows each person to bring their full potential to the effort is one that is open to the free flow of ideas and open to change and evolution. Let's face it though, change is hard. Even when we initiated it ourselves. So we know that, each one of us as a practitioner of this, when we choose to make a change, it might be overnight, but probably not, right? Probably needs some practice. So Ernest Holmes also says, we know the background of human thought is, to a great extent, one of negation, a denial of a harmonious and spiritual universe. Consequently, our outlook on life must be transformed by the renewing of our mind, and even when the results are not immediately forthcoming, we must still maintain a calm serenity of thought. We must relight the torch of our imagination by fire caught from heaven. We must remain faithful to this vision, for a realization of the presence of God is the secret power of our work. The presence of God is the secret power of our work at work. And so, in this organization that works for everyone, we embrace change also. We support each other through the change. We ask for help, we offer help and support. We build a collaborative environment where no one has to do anything alone. Of course, if you're that person who wants to go it alone and charge out there with something new, we support you there too. Support exists everywhere, with everyone bringing their talents to bear. There are those who serve most effectively in silence, and others who serve most effectively aloud, one-on-one or in groups. Continuous evolution is a way of life. Celebrations occur often. We look for ways to celebrate the work we do together and to celebrate each other. In Living the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes says, "What we are thinking and doing today can create the kind of tomorrow we wish to experience if we will change our outlook on life. The change that we need to make within ourselves must be made today. And so we have to live each day as though it were complete and perfect within itself." In the creation of a shared vision, we are called to speak the vision, to share it, and to do so often. As we do so with feeling, and dare I say passion, the efficacy of the creative process can only be multiplied. So I invite you to go out and create the world you want to live in your work environments, in your social groups, in your families. See all that is possible. Believe all that is possible. Do it with passion. Exercise your vision. Thank you.
You know, when we found out that we were talking about vision, I was thinking, vision is the hardest spiritual concept for me to practice or to embrace. I've had years and years and years of practitioner sessions where I lament my lack of vision. I'd say my life is good, because my life is good, and often it's really, really great. But my problem is I just don't have an idea of where I see myself or what my future might look like. So, like the good worker that I am, I worked on vision. I prayed for vision. I meditated on vision. I had visioning sessions. I facilitated visioning sessions. What's Spirit's highest vision for this situation right now? And I never got the playbook. I never got the download. So there's a lyric from an Indigo Girls song that's always spoken to me. Sometimes I ask to sneak a closer look, skip to the final chapter of the book, then maybe steer us clear from some of the pain it took to get us where we are this far. This is what I love. But the question drowns in its futility, and even I have got to laugh at me. No one gets to miss the storm of what will be, just holding on for the ride. I wanted a closer look at everything. Maybe wait until there were some assurances. And you know what? That desire for external validation is exactly the reason I struggled with vision. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I learned and experienced about vision and spiritual living. The absolute truth is that through my eyes, God sees the perfection of life. The absolute truth is that the universe and everything in it are expressions of God, with no beginning and no end. The absolute truth is that I'm divine, and so are you. And so, viscerally understanding myself as divine has been the changing point in understanding this concept of vision. I've been a student of science of mind and new thought for a really long time. And so I understood the conceptual idea that God is all there is and I am one with God, but it is that full body, every ounce of my divine self-experience of knowing the absolute truth that is the answer to my vision problem. So tricky things start happening when I live in the knowledge that I am divine. My anger, my fear, my jealousy, my disillusionment must be as divine as my love, my compassion, my creativity, my joy. My body is as divine as my mind. My intellect as divine as my spirit. So that thought, which I do think is a pretty common one, that I am in my divinity only when I feel good, it stopped making sense. The universal intelligence, the divine, is good. So my anger, for instance, is good. Okay, so why am I talking about vision? I mean, why am I talking about anger in this talk about vision? You know, because anger is the biggest thing that I still consider as not God. And because then I believe that if there's a part of me that is not God, then I believe there's a part of you that's not God. And I believe that there's a part of politicians that are not God, and that teachers that are not God, and that of police officers that are not God. And then the vision becomes obscured with the need to label at best or fix at worst. Fix me, fix you, fix the job, fix the government, fix the world. But you know what? We, as Ernest Holmes said, believe in God and nothing but God. God is indestructible, ever-expanding love. When we know that in our bodies, in our minds, and in our spirit, the experience of everything begins to change. Vision becomes clear. We are one. We are manifesting a world of unconditional love, of abundance, of community, of joy, and of inspiration. And so that anger, fear, and jealousy, they're divine human information tellers. I honor their presence in my experience. I feel my feelings completely. And now this, however, is not an invitation or a license to poor behavior. Not at all. As I feel my feelings completely, I move from that instinctual desire to do something rash and possibly hurtful to the desire to expand my knowing and my understanding and take inspired action. My anger may be telling me I need to speak truth to institutional power. My fear may be telling me that it's time to move from the comfortable to a new adventure. My jealousy may be expanding my consciousness of what is possible. Honor these emotions as the informational guideposts that they are. I was having a conversation with my parents about this talk yesterday. My very religious and spiritual parents who go to lectures about Meister Eckhart. I mean, these are people who are on the path. They're definitely seekers too. And we talked about how is it possible to believe that there is only God when there's such horror in the world? Quite honestly, I wonder that sometimes too. But you know what? We must remember that conditions are temporary, however unsatisfying that truth may be. But isn't dissatisfaction with conditions part of what inspires the greater and grander new thoughts? And so I think of and I'm inspired by the amazing Greta Thunberg. In August of 2018, 15-year-old Greta started to sit in front of the Swedish parliament to protest the lack of action on climate change. So in my metaphor about her in my mind, she sat there by herself with the vision that there is better. A year later, the global movement has been ignited, mostly led by young people. What an incredible example of a person inspired by personal responsibility and expression of divinity. Knowing that a safe and healthy world is the vision, she was taking a stand and inspired action in herself and others. So as we choose to believe in God and nothing but God, we find the magnitude of our own personal agency and potency increases to its proper divine proportion. We are divine, and that is the vision. Thank you. So please join me in this affirmative prayer. Oh, I'm just breathing in the magnificent truth that there is only God, and that's it. God is all there is. And so I am that God. You are that God. We are that God. All is God. Oh gosh. And so I know that inspired with the vision of unconditional love, of joy, of expansion, of truth, of peace, of love, of beauty, That is the vision that we are all holding. We give no power and no credence to the things that are not that. What they are inspirations for us to seek something different, to increase our vision, to increase our love, to increase our joy, to increase our gratitude for the people who come along our way, for the squeegee boys and for the institutional groups in which we work and find ourselves, for our community, for our lives. The vision of love and greater eternality of the human soul is the vision. And so I give thanks in that simplicity of God is all there is, and the grandiosity of knowing that that is true, and knowing that we are divine. I give thanks for that. And I release this word into the law that is growing and ever expanding into the greater and greater vision of what and who we are. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.